Today I am going to share some points on object oriented programming using Python. We all know that what exactly is an object. An object is nothing but a real thing that we can able to touch and see. And this object can also have some attributes or characteristics. And also it can also have some behavior and functionality. Let's come into the topic. This is the agenda of our topic. In the first chapter we will discuss about introduction to object oriented programming in Python, and in the next topic we will discuss about the differences between object oriented programming and procedural oriented programming, and later we discuss about what exactly is a class and object, and later we discuss about the object oriented programming methodologies: inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, and abstraction. These are the main pillars of the object oriented programming. Coming to the next topic, introduction to object oriented programming in Python. Object oriented programming consists of objects and classes. An object represents the data or attributes and methods or behavior. If we use the computer programming using objects, then it will be considered as the object oriented programming. And one of the main feature of object oriented programming is to use the code reusable. We can make our code reusable, very structured, and also a redundant one. Coming to next topic, here we discuss about the object oriented programming and procedural oriented programming. Procedural oriented programming, it is a top down approach. Why? Because is that we can execute the code from top to bottom in a linear fashion or in a sequential fashion, whereas in object oriented programming it's not like that. It follows the bottom up approach. In procedural oriented programming, program is divided into the functions, whereas object oriented programming divided into objects. In procedural oriented programming we don't use access modifiers, whereas in object oriented programming we make it use of the access modifiers such as public, private, and protected. By using object-oriented programming, we can make our application very secureable comparing to the procedural-oriented programming approach. In object-oriented programming, object can move freely within member functions, whereas in procedure-oriented programming, data can move freely from function to the function within programs. Object-oriented programming can support the inheritance, whereas procedural-oriented programming does not support inheritance. Coming to the next topic, a class is nothing but a collection of objects, or we can create, or it can be also called as a template or blueprint to create objects. For a class, for these objects, they can have some attribute and behavior, and declare how we can declare a class. Class can be declared by using the class keyword. Example, below we can see that class 1. Class 1 is the name of the class. Coming to the next topic. Not next topic. How we can create an object and a class in Python. Here class employee is the class name, in which it has one special method in it. It will be called for every object creation. It has attributes name, age, salary and ID. Here we created 2 employee objects, which consist of name, age and ID and salary. And printing that employee 1 data. Coming to the next topic, object-oriented programming methodologies. There are 4 main pillars are there in object-oriented programming. First one is the inheritance. Second one is the polymorphism. Third one is encapsulation. Fourth one is the abstraction. Inheritance is nothing but inheriting or acquiring the data from a parent class or to the child class. In common thing, we can say that we can head off the dialogue from our relatives. You look exactly like your father or mother. The reason behind this is called as inheritance. And coming to the programming aspect, it means that inheriting or transferring the characteristics from parent to the child class without any changes or modification. The new class can be defined as the derived class or child class, and the one from which it is derived is known as the base class or parent class. Types of inheritance. There are 4 types of inheritance are there. single level inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and multiple inheritance. Single level inheritance enables a derived class to inherit characteristics from a single parent class. Single level inheritance means it can have only one child class. That one child class can inherit the characteristics from a single parent class. It can be defined as the single inheritance. Coming to the programming example, employee 1, here is the parent class. It has some attributes. Child employee is the child class which is inheriting the employee 1 parent class, which is inheriting the data from employee 1 class. And we created one object and retrieving the object's age. Multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance in which a child class can act as the parent class for another child class. For example, take grandfather class. Class father inheriting the properties from grandfather, and class son can inherit the properties from father class. That's how it works. Multi-level inheritance enables a derived class to inherit properties from an immediate parent class, which in turn inherits properties from his parent class. Here we can see that example. Class employee is the superclass. Child employee 1 inheriting the properties from employee. Child employee 2 inheriting the properties from child employee 1 and printing their ages. Hierarchical level inheritance. In hierarchical level inheritance, we can see that more than one derived class from a base class, which in turn means that it has more than one child. For a parent class can have more than one child, then it will be considered as the hierarchical inheritance. All derived classes inherit the properties from a single parent class. Here we can see the example, class employee. Child employee 1 inherit the properties from employee, and also child employee 2 inherit the properties from employee. And created two objects and make it use of it. Multiple inheritance. Multiple level inheritance enables one derived class to inherit the properties from more than one base class, which means that one child class can inherit the properties from more than one parent class. or base class. That's how the multiple inheritance works. Class employee 1 is the base class. Class employee 2 is the second base class. Class child employee inherits the properties from both employee 1 and employee 2 base classes. Polymorphism is another pillar of our object-oriented programming. In Greek, polymorph means many. Poly means many, and morph means form. If we can able to do a thing in many forms, then it will be known as the polymorphism. For example, take a person. He can act as a husband to his wife. And he can be able to act as a son to his mother. And he can also act as an employee in an organization. That's how the polymorphism works. You all must have used GPS for navigating the route. Isn't it amazing how many different routes you come across for the same destination depending on the traffic? From a programming point of view, this is known as the polymorphism. It is one such methodology where one task can be performed in several different ways. To put it in a simple words, it is a property of an object which allows it to take multiple forms. For example, take an operating system. There are different types of operating systems for Microsoft, Windows, Mac OS and Ubuntu. These are the different types of operating system, but we can all call them as one operating system. It is one of the best example for polymorphism. Coming to the next topic, polymorphism is of two types. First one is the compile time polymorphism. Second one is runtime polymorphism. A compile time polymorphism, also known as the static polymorphism, which gets resolved during compilation time of the program. Method overloading is the example of compile time polymorphism. Method overloading is nothing but having the same method name with different types of parameters and different length of parameters. Here in the example we can see that in general we can't able to create same method name in Python. Why? Because it is a dynamical typed programming language. So that's why we can't be able to create same method name more time, but we can able to create it using multiple dispatch decorator, and that's how I created this program. In the next example, I created two employee classes, and I created one different function, and taking the employees and calling them in this function using this function. We can able to achieve this method overloading like this by creating a new function and taking object as the parameter and calling them using the defined methods. Here right side we can see that output how it gets. Okay, the runtime polymorphism. A runtime polymorphism, also known as the dynamic polymorphism, it can get resolved in the runtime. One of the common example for runtime polymorphism is method overriding. Method overriding is nothing but overriding the method. Method overriding, for example, take a child class and a parent class, they both have the same method. Child class inherit the parent class, they both have same method. If then child class can override the parent class's method by using method overriding. Class employee and child employee have the same method name earn. Then it can override the parent class earn method. Child class can able to override the parent class earn method. Coming to the next topic, encapsulation. Encapsulation is one of the pillar of object-oriented programming, in which it can combine the data and the methods into the single unit. The best example is a capsule. A capsule can be considered as the encapsulation example. Capsule consists of all the data and methods encapsulated into a capsule. Why we can use this encapsulation? It can restrict the accessing variables and methods directly. It can restrict the accessing variables and methods directly, and can prevent the accidental modification of the data. To prevent the accidental data change by any object or any method, by any object's method, so at the time we use encapsulation. By these type of variables are known as the private variables. We can hide the data from outside world. We can see that data and the methods are combined together by and bind to the object. It is only the normal data. We can easily access it public method, and it has a public data variable. We can easily be able to access it, whereas the protected data can only be accessible within that class, within that class and subclass, and we can denote it by using underscore. Whereas private data can be accessed through that class only, not even in the subclass. It can be denoted by using double underscore. We can be able to access the private data. If we want to make more securable of the data, then the developer uses private members. If he wants only somewhat moderate secure, then he use protected data, protected access modifier. Coming to the next topic, abstraction. Abstraction is one of the fundamental concepts in object-oriented programming, in which it shows the relevant data to the user and hides the unnecessary data. It can reduce the complexity and increase the efficiency of our application development. For example, we can take Book My Show app. In Book My Show app, we can see that it hides all the processing and internal payment, how that payment is going on. These all type of data will be hidden, and how that transaction move on to that another one. These all type of things will be hidden from the user. That's how the abstraction works. And next example, we can see that a car is working, but we don't know how internally it works, and we also don't need how it internally works. That's how the abstraction works. Here in the example we can see that abstract method. By using decorate abstract method, we can create abstract method. Abstract method. We are creating one abstract method and one concrete class. Concrete class inherit the properties from parent class, demo class. And in the concrete class, we are calling a parent class abstract method by using the keyword super. And after finishing it, we just return it. That's how the program works. And in the finally we can see that output of this program, abstract method and concrete method. This is all about the object oriented programming OOPS concept. And thank you.